Hello, it's Becca from Pink Pig Financials. In this blog today, I want to pass on a few tips I've come across whilst trying to balance studying and working. I'm currently studying for my level 4 AAT qualification via a distance learning program using pre-recorded lectures that I can access at any time. One of the 3 core values at Pink Pig is lifestyle. We understand how important it is to be able to balance all of your life, work, family, study, everything. So before you begin any course, it's worth asking your employer what assistance they can provide. Your new skills will benefit them too. They're going to want you to be able to balance your work and study successfully as well, so that neither will suffer. So it might be that they can offer financial support towards your study, or they might offer study leave before your exam, or study support or mentoring. But there's no harm in asking, and you won't know until you do. So you've decided to study and you've signed up for your course. The first thing to do is to make sure you're picking the right study style, the right format. So many courses these days are provided in more than one format. You might be able to go to college in person and take a traditional classroom based. You might be able to study from home and have pre-recorded lectures, or you might just want to have the books and go it alone. Finding out which format fits in with your lifestyle is so important. I know many people who really need the prescribed classroom hours to provide them with that motivation to keep going and the accountability, but you might find that regular hours wouldn't work for you and you need to be a bit more flexible. For the course I'm studying at the minute, I decided classroom hours were not going to work for me. I needed to be able to fit the study in around my new job and also the constant changes that small children bring. So once you've chosen your course and you've got all the materials, it's worth spending some time planning before you dive straight in. And I don't mean just putting all the colourful sticky tabs in between all the chapters, although that's one of my favourite parts. Have a think about how many hours you realistically have and available and are willing to set aside for study each week. So if you've got a full-time job, this might be a couple of hours a week, and that's okay. I think it's much better to plan in small sessions and keep momentum rather than waiting until you've got a big chunk of time. Also think about how long you'd like to take completing the course as a whole. So you might have a time frame you'd like to complete the course in, so you're not dragging it out longer than it needs to be. When I started this course, I made a plan to complete it within 1 year, and I think I'm just about on track. But I would recommend allowing a bit of leeway, a couple of extra weeks here and there, and don't be too hard on yourself if the schedule goes a little bit off. Things happen. You might have a heavy week at work, you just don't have the extra brain space to study that week. I was planning to start my next module at the beginning of this year, but then I got the flu. So life happens, and don't beat yourself up about it. Just pick yourself up and carry on from where you were. Have a look at the course material too. They might actually suggest exactly how many hours each module will take. So you really can plan in your calendar how many hours you're going to spend on each one. The order can be important too. Some of the modules might work best one after the other. For this course, I chose to get the biggest one out of the way first, and I'm really glad I did because now all the others seem quite manageable. You need to plan your study time in when you have no distractions. And for me, being child-free is the biggest requirement. I just can't concentrate when they're around. So I have to wait until I've got a couple of hours when they're at school or some time in the evening. I like to set myself up at my desk with a drink and a snack and a blanket normally, so I'm all settled and comfy before I begin. And each time I do sit down to study, I have a little mini plan of what I would like to achieve. Obviously, you're never going to do the whole course in one session, so I try and think, right, okay, I'm going to do this chapter, and then that's it. And then you get a kind of sense of achievement every single time that you study. So you've done all of your course material, you've done all of your revision, exhausted all the resources you can find, all the practice exam questions, and it's exam time. It's important to work out how you work best for exams. So some people like to cram in as much revision as they can right up until the last minute. For me, this doesn't really work. If I'm panicking just before an exam, I find it really hard to think straight and get unnecessarily stressed. I mean, you've put all the hard work in, you've learnt all the material, it's all in there. So I like to try and stay as calm as possible. If I can, I'll try and book annual leave the day before the exam, which I would recommend. I have like a big revision session to sort of rattle through everything as a reminder. And then the evening before the exam, I spend time trying to relax. So have a nice bath, paint my nails. It just gives me that extra little bit of confidence going into the exam room. And there you have it. Once the exam's complete, make sure you celebrate. Even if you don't have the results straight away, just completing the exam is an achievement in itself. And if you want to have a break before you start the next module, then do that. That's absolutely fine. So if you're listening to this and thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of time, then yes, studying does take time and dedication, but if it's something you really want to achieve and it's really worth doing, then you'll find time to squeeze it in. And if you think you don't have quite enough time right now, then maybe the first step is just making a plan of when you'll start in the future, and then you can work towards that. Good luck!